Hello there, and thank you very much for opening up this video. I really do appreciate it. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Bond, James Bond. I'm a health and fitness expert based in the United Kingdom. Now, you may have probably heard the news that the United Kingdom Supreme Court have actually ruled against the Prime Minister in the sense that they've ruled that the Boris Johnson's suspension of Parliament was unlawful. Here I'm going to give you my view that Boris Johnson has played the Remainer lobby for idiots, and they've played straight into his hands. If I were him, I would not be in the least bit worried, because he's basically paid them for idiots, and I can see exactly what he's done. I'm a fitness instructor, but I'm also an expert in employment law. I once took my NHS employer to an employment tribunal, and although I lost as a litigant in person, I forced the judge to admit in writing he didn't read all the evidence in the review, and had the judgment successfully appealed against at the Employment Appeals Tribunal. I've helped many people with employment law disputes, and most of them, apart from two who I refused to help, have all been successful. Okay, let's go into this. First of all, let me explain to you what Boris Johnson's options are and why the European Union is acting like the fitness industry. I'll explain why the European Union is acting like the energy industry. I'll explain the similarities between joining the European Union and forced arranged marriage. And I'll also explain to you why the European Union is like cancer. Let me explain one at a time. First things first, what are Boris Johnson's options right now? Very simple. They've ruled that his suspension was unlawful. Well, what to stop him suspending Parliament again? Okay, very, very easy. He can just suspend Parliament again. I once helped out a doctor who was suspended from his NHS post. And we went to the High Court because they weren't following the correct procedure, and it was a stupid suspension. Okay, no problem. The suspension was overturned by the High Court. Got back home. 2 days later, they suspended him again. Easy thing. He can just suspend Parliament again. This time he can use different grounds. Okay. The next one thing he can do is he can just fill up the parliamentary timetable with useless debates. That's all he has to do. Fill it up with useless debates. There's nothing to stop him doing that. Thirdly, he can appeal to the European Court of Arbitration and basically just drag the matter out. He might lose it, he may or may not, but he can just drag it out. Okay, that's the third thing. The other thing that actually has happened here is, I remember once I attended a lecture from the late Tony Benn MP, who basically said that if the British people ever voted to leave the European Union, the MPs would reject it like mad, for the simple reason 3/4 of their income and allowances outside their parliamentary salary comes from the EU. Let that sink home for a minute. 17.4 million people voted to leave the European Union, but the MPs serving their own interests want to stay because they're worried about their salaries and pensions. Now let me explain to you why the European Union is acting like the fitness industry. The fitness industry does its utmost to recruit people, and they're very good at it, at doing it. You go past any gym, they'll give you all these offers to recruit people. And on top of that, say, bring your friends to join. And during your cooling off period, they're very nice to you. They'll give you a call. Hey, you've not been in. Please come in. We miss you. Blah, blah, blah. And they'll make all these offers to make you get you to come. But once that cooling off period is gone, and once they start taking your first payment off you, guess what? They'll forget about you. Gyms like their members to pay their monthly subscription, but they don't want you to come. They want your money off you, but they don't want to get you want you getting value for your money. When I was a self-employed fitness instructor at Fitness First, every week the birthday list would come out on a Monday, and I would write to everyone on that list saying, "Hey, it's your birthday. Happy birthday. And as a result, you've qualified for a free personal training session worth X amount of money. Please give me a call to book in." And they would inevitably, 1 in 30 would actually book in, and that person would continue with the training. Now, guess what? The general manager didn't like it one little bit, because he was saying to me that we don't want our members to be coming. We want them to pay their monthly membership, but not turn up, because of a large reason, waste of space and use of resources. Okay. Gyms require a minimum of 70% non-attendance to remain profitable. When I was a self-employed personal trainer at Fitness First, we had about 3,000 members, and at most 300 of our members came regularly. 90% of our members were not coming at all. So 10% were getting the value of the remaining 90%. Sounds a bit similar, doesn't it? Okay, they didn't like that one little bit. Now, the other thing that actually happened was one day a member came in. He hadn't been in for years, 4 years from what I remember, and he came to serve his notice. Now the thing is, with a gym membership, there is a narrow window period when you can cancel your 12-month contract. If you don't, they'll extend it for another 12 months, and they won't remind you when it is. Okay, so they're very nasty like that. So this gentleman came in saying, I haven't been in for 4 years, I want to terminate my membership, I'm going elsewhere to another personal training venue, which he was quite within his rights to do. I know that second venue, they're very good people, and they make sure people get value for their membership. So what then happened was something quite silly. Okay, the membership services manager did her utmost to get the member to stay. Oh, we'll give you a free get results package, we'll give you a free drinks bottle, we'll give you a t-shirt, we'll give you a couple of free training sessions with this personal trainer during my shift, so there's nothing I can do about it. No, the member wasn't having any of it. Now when he and she actually said, well, you're outside your window period, so they said you can leave, you can actually leave you can actually leave, but you've got to pay the remainder of the contract value, but you can't come into the gym again. Now this guy actually had, so in theory, imagine this, if you sign up for a year to a gym membership, but you want to leave after 1 month, they'll ask you for 11 months payment, and then you can't come in again to release you from your contract, or they'll take you to court. Can you see a bit of a similarity here? Okay, now what this member actually did was he actually found out when his window period was. It was in 2 days. His family also found out the same thing, and guess what? They all came in on the same day, served their notice, and left. There was nothing the gym could do. Now, I actually said to the membership services manager, you should have had this conversation 4 years ago when the member wasn't coming in and wasn't getting value for their money. And the membership services manager said to me, well, no, we want our members to pay their monthly sub, but we don't want them coming in because they want to make 100% profit. Simple as that. My fitness facility, well, we want people to come in. We live stream fitness classes across the internet from our studio into people's living rooms. So we're not limited on space, and we want people to come. Okay, and if you don't come, trust me, you'll get a telephone call. If you not come for 2 weeks, I'll give you a telephone call saying, hey, we've missed you, please come back. You know, we want people to attend. We don't like people paying and not coming. We want people to come. Now, let me explain. Now, I do a bit of energy tendering, so let me explain to you why the EU is acting like the energy industry. If you're a business, sometime in your contract there is a narrow window period where you can cancel your contract. If you don't, then what can happen is at the end of the contract they can extend your contract for by up to the same contract length and raise the rates, or they can put you in default out of contract rates, which are somewhat horrendous. Now, if you're outside your window period and you want to leave, let's say you've got a 5-year contract, they'll say, okay, pay for 4 years. Let's say you've got a 5-year contract and you want to leave after 6 months. They'll say, pay 4.5 years of your contract, and then you can leave, but you won't have access. You know, basically, you won't have access to our services. So you pay for 4.5 years of energy, but you've got nothing. You know, you can't get value from it. See a similarity between ourselves and the compromise agreement they had with Prime Minister Theresa May. What actually happened was, the company I am an associate for, we find that when the window period is, and we send a letter of authority on the customer's authority to terminate the supply contract and renegotiate new ones. Now, what we've actually done, Boris Johnson has been very clever. He has repealed the 1972 European Communities Act. Under that act, if there was a conflict between EU law and European law and UK law, EU law prevailed. Well, we've repealed that act, so we've taken back control ourselves. We have ended the contract, and now he can negotiate another deal. His other deal will be basically goodbye, we're off. It's as simple as that. Okay, can you see similarities? Now, the similarities between forced arranged marriage and the European Union. First things first, let me make one thing very clear. Forced marriage and arranged marriage are the same thing. Anyone who tells you that they're different is lying to you. They are the one and the same thing. Now, very often, to get people into a forced marriage, they use some horrible methods. They use physical methods. They can beat them, thump them. Okay, they beat them into submission. There's emotional. They can say to people, well, if you don't marry this person, you are dead to us. And it does happen. And given the pressure they put you on, it does happen. There's neglect. They can give you, the whole community can give you the silent treatment for months unless you agree to marry that person. And there's sexual. I do know of cases of people, young women, who've been repeatedly gang raped and raped by members of their own family for a refusal to marry the particular person for family honour reasons. Okay, so they basically beat people into submission. The people of Britain were never, and that person may never be consulted if they want to marry that person. The people of Britain were never asked, do you want to join the EU? There was no referendum to ask. A decision was taken for us. And we joined on some quite humiliating terms. Okay, Ted Heath made a real mess of that one. There was a confirmatory referendum 3 years later, but that was akin to basically renewing your vows with a gun behind your back. It was false information was given, and it was basically done under duress. Okay, and there are serious flaws in the way that referendum was done. In exactly the same way, there are flaws in the way that a what do you call it? A renewal of your vows is done with a gun behind your back. So if someone tries to leave a forced marriage, the community as a whole will actually try to stop this from happening for 4 reasons. Family honour. You will be amazed that if a young lady is being beaten up by her forced married husband, the pressure she'll be put on not to press charges, because they're worried that you're going to be ostracised, the family will be embarrassed, your honour will be ruined, and very often they give up. They can be they can be emotionally blackmailed. They can be I actually have known a case of where they've been gang raped or threatened with gang rape if they actually complain. Okay, so it's family honour reasons. The next one is money. Forced marriage is big business. Don't get anything wrong. I mean, when that dowry goes through, it is big money. Okay, now imagine this: if you take on 3 or 4 wives, they're all on the benefit system, and you have 20 or 30 kids, you just think how much money you'll get on the social. It's big business. It's big business. Okay, so there's the money reason. Okay, then they don't want people to leave a forced marriage because it makes it more difficult to get other people into forced marriages. Well, that person didn't get into an arranged marriage, why should I? Okay, you can see what happens. And the other thing here is, if you are successful in leaving a forced marriage, it encourages other people to do the same thing. Let's see the similarities between the forced marriage and the the EU. When we leave, there's currently 28 members of the European Union. When we leave, that's 27. Starts asking questions. Okay, it makes the EU look bad. Why has 1 member left? Okay, the next reason, money. They're going to be £50 million a day down. Okay, where's that money going to come from? Okay, that's the main reason. Okay, next reason, it's going to make it difficult to recruit other members. Switzerland's not a member of the European Union, nor is Russia. Okay, how are they going to be able to recruit those countries as EU members? It can be very difficult. On top of that, what to stop other people saying, well, hang on, the British have left, why don't we? There are moves across the world, across the whole of Europe, to leave the EU. See what's happening here, marked similarities. Lastly, why the European Union is like cancer. Cancers kill by 4 ways. Firstly, they stop the affected organ doing its job properly. Okay. Secondly, basically, a cancer drains the body of all its energy and resources. Thirdly, cancers spread. Another thing is, when cancers spread, basically they stop other organs doing the same thing. When our country has been subject to a whole load of laws imposed by unelected and unaccountable European commissioners. So if you think about it, they've stopped us from having our normal daily lives. Okay. Number 2, they've basically it drains us of resources. We've had to give them £50 million a day of taxpayers' money to the European Union. What would have happened if that £50 million a day had been put into government contracts given to UK companies? For example, Sheffield Supertrams are being built by a Spanish company. Well, what happens if that government contract was given to a Sheffield company? Money would stay within the city. Okay, this is why Donald Trump has turn the American economy around, because he's given American government contracts can only be given to American companies. The next one is very simple. Okay, it's spread. The EU was only a small group of countries. Now it's 28 members. And lastly, it does exactly the same thing in other countries. So it's like a cancer. So as you can see, now Boris Johnson should, really speaking, have nothing to worry about. If I were him, I would just be considering suspend Parliament again, or number 2, he can just fill up the parliamentary timetable with useless debates, or number 3, very easily, he can just appeal to the European Court of Arbitration and basically drag the case out. The main reason being those the Remona MPs are worried about their salaries and basically their incomes. It's as simple as that. Okay. Hopefully that's been of use to you. Please, if you have if you liked what I've talked about here, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay, and if you look below, you can see 4 articles I've written from medium.com where I've talked in depth about the similarities between the EU and cancer, EU and the fitness industry, EU and the energy industry, and EU and forced marriage. My name is Bond, James Bond. Leave you shaken but not stirred. Bye bye.